Hello, welcome to episode 11. This one is how to cook a keeper. So if you haven't figured it out yet, we're up, pretty much talking fish and lobster and seafoody type things. You know what? Actually, every time I hear that intro now, I'm thinking of Westworld because I'm watching Westworld season 3 right now. So any player piano right now turns into Westworld for me. So we're really excited because we've got a super cool guest on this episode. Matter of fact, I'd just soon interview her and skip the guys, but that really wouldn't be very cool. So let's go ahead and bring in both of our guys. Let's bring in John Carney and Brian McGee in their respective places. McGee is sweating a storm because it's 1,000,000 degrees in Texas right now. Did you say you had your first over 100-degree day here?
Already. This early in the year scares me, so yeah. It's a steamer down here.
It's a steamer down here. How would you say that in Maine speak, Jonathan?
We'd say, hey, there's a steamer down here, bro.
Steamer. It's wicked hot.
There's a steamer here, guy.
It's wicked hot. Wicked hot. I don't even think that's a thing. I don't even know. I just watched Good Will Hunting, and that's all I think all you talk about is because that's what I watch. So that's all I got.
So it's been kind of amazing. Brian's got his first 100-degree day. He's going to be forced indoors because of heat. Earlier in our quarantine grilling shows, I was forced inside because of cold weather. So this is really coming full circle, and finally, I'm starting to enjoy the best weather.
And really, let's take a look at all three and see who. Let's see who actually picked a good location that seems to be fairly stable all the time right now.
I think Frank gets those points.
Yeah, that's like when John says, "Hey, you cooking this week?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good."
Yeah, it's 112 degrees with 200% humidity in Orlando. I think I'm going to sit in the studio today.
Yeah, I think. Although this one, the rain, we had a hellacious storm about an hour ago that came through. Actually, yesterday we had one that had coughed up a pretty big tornado. We got through that, but some people didn't, unfortunately. But so this is a super cool episode. So we're doing seafood. This is pretty neat.
Yeah, we got seafood going on. It's as you'll learn, for those that aren't familiar, our guest is an author, which we'll get into a bit, and she published a book called How to Catch a Keeper. So I'm excited for this because I was like, this is a great cover for me to knock off. Our theme the last few weeks has been knockoff covers of movies, books, and whatnot. So this was a great one to knock off. It's How to Cook a Keeper. So it's a children's book, so if children are watching, we apologize. Today, I'm going to kill lobster 3 different ways, and I'm going to prepare it 3 different ways. So we're in for an exciting time, and I know Brian's got seafood prepared too. But yeah, seafood show, how to cook a keeper.
Today, we actually have show notes, by the way. I don't know if you can see this, but Jonathan's like trying to step it up a notch. By 11, and we're almost a dozen. We should actually celebrate at a dozen. But he actually had times on here of when stuff was supposed to happen. And the best part, my favorite part, and I'm going to share with everybody, is at 5 o'clock start time. It says 5:01, Carney joins show after internet problems. 5:02, play intro music after Carney internet works. That is dead on, by the way. That's behind the scenes people that you just haven't seen, but that has happened in almost every episode.
It also appears that we're also on schedule, but it is shocking. It should be shocking to the viewers here. It took us 11 episodes to actually put together show notes. So I guess this should be our most organized show. If it's not, we're just doomed to failure, apparently.
Well, I mean, you say it should be our most organized show. To be honest, I did not catch the show notes in the string until about 20 minutes ago when I said, "Hey, can you send me that?" I didn't even catch it.
I don't have show notes, but does it say? Is there a time in there where it says Carney speaks for 54 minutes? Is that blocked off?
It is.
We're on schedule.
Yeah, we're actually on schedule. It's right below Carney introduces. Hey, this one's easy, but has 1,700 ingredients in the meal, And by the way, this week you drink anytime Carney says, what is it, fiddlesticks, fiddle faddle? What the heck was the little swirly?
Fiddlehead.
Fiddleheads, yes. Anytime fiddleheads come in, then I'm sure we're going to get a particular, there's got to be a drinking game associated with that. So before we get to our guests, tell me what you guys are cooking.
By the way, so I'll go first, just because Brian doesn't need as much time. But if you think that I've run out of Maine-themed shows, I haven't yet. This is another Maine-themed show. I have plenty more up my sleeve. but we do have our second main theme show. But I'm doing lobsters three-way. So we're going to do 3 different lobsters. We're going to be, the first dish we've got going on is the traditional Maine, New England style lobster roll. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit. There's arguments in Maine as if you should use mayonnaise or if you just use lobster with drawn butter. I'm going to be making essentially a lobster salad roll. In that, we're going to have mayo, lemon juice, minced celery, minced shallots. We're going to use a traditional New England hot dog roll, which we'll talk about as we get into the show. Olive oil. Next dish we're going to do is lobster cakes. There's going to be egg in there, white wine, lemon juice, mayonnaise, Worcestershire sauce, Tabasco, pepper, Old Bay seasoning, chives, shallots, breadcrumbs, butter, olive oil, and then we're going to make a sauce with that. We're going to have mayo, honey, Colzix of Canada, horseradish mustard, ketchup, chives, celery, Tabasco, and then the final dish is going to be a lobster surf and turf, where we're going to have truffle salt, Wagyu, ribeye, and that's going to be finished off with a sage paprika butter. And then we're going to put some lobsters. We're going to take off, I think our guest is going to talk about this, but we're going to take off the little elastics off their claws. And I'm going to put them right on the grill, and we're going to grill those suckers up right on top of the grill. The second process, when we're doing the lobsters for the cakes, the lobsters for the lobster cakes are going to be cut up prior to cooking. So we're going to cut those fresh. We'll be cooking that lobster fresh in the cast iron. And then the lobster for the lobster rolls will be traditionally done in a boiler, which I have going behind me right now. So we'll be boiling those. So lobster 3 ways.
So I missed the one part. What did you say after Old Bay?
Yeah. Fred,
Brian, for the slower people in the group, myself and well, I mean, you know, all of us, can you bring us down a little bit, you know, away from the gourmet kitchen? I feel like it's like when you watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune back to back. It's just like it's a massive whiplash when this happens, and I respect and love both of them. Brian, bring me something simple, because I don't have time to remember both of these.
Well, after that, first off, good morning, Fred. It's now Tuesday morning. I am gonna be.
We don't have time for the guest.
Yeah. Good night. I'm gonna do salmon cedar plank one way. I don't know if that counts, but one way. With a sriracha, mayo, and brown sugar crust.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a spicy, tangy sweetness. It's different.
Is this new? Have you done this before?
I have done this before, and it's really good.
All right,
and then cod one way fish and chips, and very simple potatoes. And I'm going to do a beer batter to bread the cod and deep fry them, and do some traditional fish and chips with a little pickle juice in with the batter as well.
Nice.
I've already got problems over here, guys. The lobsters are fighting back.
Did you cut off their little rubber bands?
Not yet. I'm going to be very careful, because this one I just tried to cut its tail off and it didn't want it. So we might be boiling all these suckers today.
All right. So, you know what? Without any further delay, and hopefully she does not have a list of ingredients of what she's bringing in, I'd like to bring in our guest. Is she cook? She's not cooking, though. She's not cooking. But she is going to drop some knowledge and anything I can do, quite frankly, to get away from this particular group of guys here. Maybe, you know, kind of elevate the show in its conversation. So please join me in welcoming Stephanie Mulligan. Hello, Stephanie. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I'm not sure both of them can share internet at the same time. I'm not sure if that's the issue. She is very frozen right now.
State of Maine has.
Yeah, State of Maine has like basically 3 lines, and Carney's using most of them in his house, and then his parents are also watching him in his house. So,
oh, we got her. We got noise. We got noise.
You're breaking up quite a bit. By the way, those of you that are following along at home, behind the scenes, we just talked to Stephanie for like 20 minutes before we went live, and there wasn't a problem whatsoever. So,
None.
Hey, this is clearly the main show. You all need to get your internet a little bit better, I think.
Hello?
Hello. We can kind of hear you. Your camera's frozen. We can hear you. Don't feel bad because Carney did this in the first 7 episodes of the show before you. Oh, wait a minute. Now we can see you a little better and hear you a little better.
Yeah, don't feel bad whatsoever. I mean, there's literally 10 hours of online footage of my internet failing me on this show.
Oh. Oh gosh.
So in the meantime, I've dumped 3 lobsters into the water.
We can hear you. Your screen's frozen a little bit. I'm not sure. I mean, is it helpful if we send you guys some AOL minutes, or how does that go down? I'm not sure because I've got tons of them from the Sunday paper. So I don't know what you guys need in there. Well, I'm going to talk about Stephanie briefly, and then while we're waiting for her to kind of the hamsters or German shepherds that they're all running there. So Stephanie worked for Lucky Catch, a lobster fishing tour boat. And I am dying to find out about working on a lobster boat. For 8 summers she did this. So this wasn't just like a one-time shot of jumping on a tour on a lobster boat. For me personally, there's no way I could do it. I've got mad respect. I'm really curious to hear about that. I did the teacups at Disney once, and that was enough. So I imagine that's just like being on a lobster boat. But she wanted to kind of capture the experience, remember it forever. So she actually ended up doing a book. Which is the children's book we're going to talk about at some point when she gets dialed back on here. And so I can't imagine. She graduated from University of Maine. Her BS was in elementary education and a concentration in English. So she's already going to be able to school us on a few little things going on here outside of the food realm. But I mean, her first book was to kind of illustrate all this thing of doing the stuff from lobster, which is absolutely crazy. Jonathan, you know her. Is this somebody that like goes and does 8 summers on a lobster boat? I think she's back with us. Are you there? I can see. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Well, welcome officially to the show. I got rid of the other 2 guys, so now it's just me and you. Hopefully,
Okay.
So I read the bio. So you ended up doing this children's book, but tell me about working on a lobster boat because this is just insane. And I've seen like some of the shows, you know, like the ones they have on TV and stuff like that. Is it that crazy and that dangerous?
Yeah, so I'm really sorry to crush those dreams. I didn't actually go out officially commercial fishing. I could have. I had enough hours to be a captain, and I almost did that. So I actually did work on a lobster tour boat that was a real fishing boat. And actually, Deadliest Catch, some of the producers from that show had come out and talked to my captain and were interested, you know, in maybe working with him at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to lead you astray, you know, the misconception that I was out like 20 miles at sea and that sort of thing. But it's a way of life for Mainers here. If you don't do it yourself, you probably know someone, you know, that's a lobsterman.
Right.
Yeah, it's really dangerous for sure. And I think that it's important for right now for people to know just about the livelihood and how important that is during these times, because things are changing, and there's definitely opportunities to even give to Maine families that are struggling, Maine fishing families.
Mm-hmm.
So the timing of the book actually was very interesting, how it plays into what's going on right now, and actually connecting, kids from those lobstering families with their peers, kind of helps them understand, like, this is what my family does, and there's like a bridge that's happening too.
So how is
okay, great. So you didn't.
No. And look, any of it of doing that. I mean, I don't care if you're like 5 feet offshore. I mean, it's like there's sharks out there. I mean, trust me, I've got mad respect for anybody doing anything 8 years in a row, let alone going out on a lobster boat. So tell me a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about like the current situation. How is that affecting the lobster community right now with so many restaurants being closed and all the other stuff?
Yeah, so there's opportunity now for people to purchase lobsters locally. So there's some people that are kind of like the middleman, or you could just purchase lobsters directly from a fisherman if you knew them. So I think that there's also some concern, not to get into politics too much, there's concern with some of the restrictions. That's kind of what I was alluding to as well. Not necessarily just with COVID, but just different restrictions concerning the right whale and that sort of thing. I don't really want to get into that. But there's, because there's sides to everything. So, but they're definitely, I'm trying to, do what I can do to kind of support that, to support Mainers, to support these Maine fishing families. That's kind of been tugging on my heart.
So there's a couple things. I just want to jump in real quick because Stephanie doesn't want to talk.
Did you read your own show notes right there? It comes up in 2 minutes. Go ahead, Jonathan. I'm bringing everybody in. We're on all cam right now, which is great. I do have to mention, since we ran over, let me at least mention one of the sponsors before we go through that. Wood Butcher is one of the sponsors. Basically, they do these awesome cutting boards. You've been seeing them on the show. You can go online and order them. They're what would you say in Maine? Wicked awesome. Is that really even a Maine thing though? Really? Do you guys say that? Huge? Wicked. All right. So they are wicked awesome. We see them on the show, so you can definitely go on the website. Okay, Jonathan, fire away at your political question. Well, that just got dark in a real hurry. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I you know what? I was celebrating this weekend because what people don't know is that well, one, right now everybody's saying they can't hear Carney, which I think is interesting. But second, basically, Carney sent me like 16 pounds of lobster. So it's been Lobster Fest at my house for the last 3 days. First when we first got the 16 pounds, my wife's like, "Who are you inviting over?" And I'm like, "Inviting over? What? I don't even know what she was talking about." So we ended up inviting a couple over there. So I'm gonna try and figure out what the sound is. Tell us about the book. While I'm gonna sneak behind the scenes and try to figure out why nobody can hear Carney. Brian, why don't you talk for a second? Can people hear you? I don't know. Do you have a question? Do you have a question for Stephanie?
book. There is a dog, though.
Okay.
I believe she was a German short-haired pointer of some sort, if you can see. But there's Sammy. So, yeah, she had passed away, but that was Captain Tom's dog, and she loved being on the boat. So it was nice I did get to include her. And she's right here. This is from a photograph I took. She's trying to bite the trap.
Oh, wow.
So we'd say, oh, Sammy, don't hang on. We want her to hang on and then get lost in the big drink. So, but yeah.
So now, who did the illustrations for the book?
I was about to ask that.
Are done by Connie Rand, and so we all just live around here. John lives down the road, Connie lives down the road. We like to just stick together, us Mainers. So this is Connie, and she's a wildlife artist, and we connected 2015, and she worked on the illustrations for about 3 years. And they're all done in acrylic. This is a pretty neat. These are mostly photographs that I took when I worked on the boat. Those are the eggs right there. And I taught school for a couple years, and I'm really passionate about experiential learning. So learning through experiencing and also reflecting on your learning, hands-on learning, and that sort of thing. So I love connecting with educators as well. And
so what age were you teaching school?
I was teaching 7th and 8th grade, but and I've worked with like 3rd graders. But this book is like basically any age can learn from it. So, but the reading level is like 2nd, 3rd grade.
So 8
but
years.
There are words you probably wouldn't know, but that's why there's a glossary for you.
Oh, okay, all right. So which one? So lobsters or 7th graders? Which one's smarter? Just off the top of your head. Just off the top of your head. Just off the top of your head. No wrong answers. No wrong answers. So, all right, moving on. So let's talk about, let's see, it's at 5:25. What am I supposed to be doing at 5:25? We are still supposed to be talking about you. So tell us about cooking lobsters. Tell us about lobsters.
I want to show you how to band a lobster. Is that okay?
Do what now? How to band a lobster? Yes, matter of fact, I'm going to make it all about you because I'm just going to make just you on camera.
Okay,
get rid of everybody. It's just you.
This is a banding tool. So you squeeze down here, and it opens up this part. Is that okay? Can you see that?
Yeah, perfect.
And then you slide it over. This is the pincer claw. And then you turn and you just release it and pull away. And this is the crusher claw. So the bigger claw, this is like the one that grinds their food, and then this is the pincer claw. This like shreds it and tears it. But a lobster can be left or right clawed. So you can see this one on this side, vice versa. And as far as I personally like soft shell better because it's sweeter. I don't know how John feels or you guys feel about that, but of course it makes sense because the hard shell lobster, the lobster's getting older, it's growing, and that's making the lobster shell get harder and the meat is tougher. So when a lobster gets a little older, it'll shed its molt or shed its shell about once a year. So that's when you get the soft shell lobsters, when the waters start to warm up.
So the crusher.
On you.
No. So the crusher claw is slower, correct? And the pincher claw is faster, as far as being able to take your finger on.
Oh, well, I've never heard that.
That's just the myths I have to pass on. I mean, Brian almost didn't come on the show because he was concerned about lobsters nearby. So
you're putting me to shame over here. I've never heard that.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
We can measure.
What's that?
Let's measure it. This is the measuring gauge. So this is 3 1/4 inches. In Maine, we have an oversized limit, so that's 5 inches on the other side. We're measuring the carapace. Okay, that's the back. So we take this point and tuck it behind the eye socket. So this is definitely a keeper because it hits the back. It's at least 3 1/4. If this exceeds 5 inches, it also gets thrown back.
Wait, so if it's too big, you can't keep it?
That's right, and that's That's in Maine. Not every state has the oversized limit.
Why do they have that? Just because they figure, hey, if you made it this long, you deserve to keep going?
Maybe. Part of it is because we also throw back females that are caught with eggs. So if you catch a lobster and the eggs are visible, then you have to notch the tail, throw her back. Well, she's just going to keep growing. And lobsters, they usually are like size to mate with each other. So if we just kept all the, big males, then those larger females wouldn't have as many options to mate with.
So what's the largest lobster you've ever seen in person?
Oh, I don't remember how many pounds it was, but I've seen one about this big.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's good to know they're safe now.
100 years old.
How old?
100.
Wow.
Yeah, in Canada, I think the largest one so far, or a couple of years ago anyway, on record was caught in Canada.
Wow, that's
It
impressive.
probably went from Maine and went right over.
Probably. Well, and those, I don't know if anybody watching is familiar with Stonewood Grill in Las Vegas, but that was the one that always got the really giant ones that they could show holding up. There were these just giant 50-year-old, 60-year-old lobsters. They were weighing, I don't know, 20 pounds, whatever they were. So I think that restaurant's gone now. I think they're gone now. So I think that everybody's safe. All right, so let's go back into the guys. Let's talk about a little bit about. Let me mention one more sponsor too while I'm here, and I'm going to go back to everybody on camera, so we're all here. I do want to talk about Crown Heads though, because they're one of our sponsors. I don't know, Brian, do you want to say something about Crown Heads? Because it's kind of like you. I mean, I don't even know why I don't even have a Crown Heads logo. I have a McGee Smoked Meats logo. It doesn't even. It's got a tiny Crown Heads.
The Crown Heads is behind me.
All right, so tell us something about Crown Heads. What's coming new?
I am smoking the Chardo Classico, which is made by Tabacalera Pichardo, and we are now distributing Ace Prime cigars. So this is one of the lines, Sumatra wrapper, delicious thick, and Crown Heads is now the official distributor for all Ace Prime. And some of you guys might know that our Juarez is made at Tabacalera Pichardo, and Pichardo himself blended the Series E and the Series D for Partagas in Cuba. So he's kind of got a little bit of knowledge.
Nice. Now, Stephanie, you're not off the hook because we are going to actually have you tell us how to cook a lobster in a second, but I'm going to have the guys at this point kind of chime in on what they're cooking. So, Jonathan, I'm going to start with you, and I want to know your ingredients. I mean, we've got a graphic for it and everything. So I want to know what it is, and I don't even know how you got them all on one screen, to be honest with you, because when you were naming them pre-show, there were 7,000 ingredients.
So if the ingredients are on screen, so far I've done my lobster sauce. It's like a pedal sauce essentially, which is going to go on my lobster cake. I've got the breading for the lobster cake done, which has got eggs, white wine, lemon juice, mayo, Worcestershire, Tabasco, pepper, Old Bay, chives, shallots. What else I put in there? Got some celery, butter, breadcrumbs, olive oil. So I've got that going. I've now cooked 6 lobsters. For the sake of the show today, I'm not going to be chopping up the claws too much. I'm going to be using mostly tail meat. The claw meat, I'm going to rip off the claws here, and then I'm going to serve those on the lobster platter at the end. I may use a few of them, but for the lobster roll portion and the lobster cake, specifically the lobster cake will mostly be tail meat, and then the lobster roll, I'll put some claw meat in there too. But main reason is that I don't really feel like cracking a whole lot of these open here right now to get to them. So my lobsters will lose this, keep mostly the claws, and then a cool snack that we do up here in Maine is we suck the meat out of the little feet.
Yeah.
And the little swimmers on the back of the tail. So I've been snacking on this here. No snack needed. I've already cooked it.
So
right.
Stephanie, we're going to bring an expert question before I go to you, Brian, on the ingredients list. So Stephanie, what's the easiest way to crack the claws? Because I had them this weekend, and I've eaten enough lobster that I just, I'll either bring out a mallet or I'll be careful with it. What's the easiest way to do it? Because those big ones are super hard.
Okay, funny story. My husband surprised me with some hard shell lobster. like last weekend, weekend before, and we couldn't find the crackers anywhere. And anyway, so my father-in-law came over with some pliers.
Yeah.
And like that's what we use. But I was gonna say, where's your hammer? Because really, like, it depends on how hard is that shell.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen it all. But you know, with the soft shell, obviously you just break it right open, pretty much. But I thought those actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, there's a different leverage. I mean, the problem with crab crackers is your leverage is really even with it, but pliers you actually have exponential leverage. I mean, someone should reinvent crab crackers more of a plier style than the other way. Then
stand up and do it. But.
That's right. Well, I've been to some places where the restaurants actually score it, like they've actually got some sort of saw blade or something like that, and they actually score it, which is not a bad way to do it because you also don't smash any of the meat in the process.
Yeah, there's that.
All right, Brian, let's go to you and let's get your ingredients for what you've got going here. I imagine it's not near as much as Carney has.
Well, I got the batter in the fryer, which the batter was flour, cornstarch to help with the crispness, pickle juice, a Modelo for the beer batter, and I just finished the chips. And a little fry tip, steak tip. When you cook fries, do a quick fry at 375. Let them rest and bring your oil temp up to 375 and refry them at 375. And they're extremely crispy on the outside and soft and fluffy on the inside.
Wow, that was like a French fry pro tip there. I wasn't even planning on that. Jonathan, what are you working on? You've been mixing up this stuff here for quite a while now.
So I'm working on my lobster cake right now. I just added 4 lobster tails into here. I chopped them up. I've got my breadcrumbs in there. I just used plain bread crumbs. I've got the Old Bay, and I just added the white wine and egg mixture. I took the white wine and infused it with the egg. So I put 3 whole eggs. I put probably about 2 ounces or so of white wine in with that egg, and then I beat the eggs up a little bit to mix it in and create a mixture. And now I just added that to the lobster cakes, and I'm going to set these off to the side. I've been sampling and tasting this the whole time, so the flavor is good. So I'm happy where it's at, but I'm going to set this to the side just a little bit, and then I'm going to form the cakes out of it. And those will be the last thing I cook because those will be ready to go quite quick. That's going to be cooked on cast iron with olive oil and a little bit of butter in there. And then I got the steaks resting on the side. I've already had the steaks on the grill once. So they've been resting now for about 20 minutes. So they'll go on the grill 2 more times to get a nice medium rare on it. And that's where I'm at right now. The next step is to grill the lobsters. And then I'm going to start working on my lobster rolls here next. So setting aside the lobster cake mix, focusing on the steaks, and then I'll be going to my lobster rolls here in a bit. How am I doing on time, Fred? I've been pretty active over here. I've been paying attention.
It's 5:36. I think you're doing fine. Good. Stephanie, you just watched that thing. Other than the fact that he kept re-dipping his same testing spoon, how's he doing so far?
What's that? Did you ask me a question?
Yeah. So how's he doing? I mean, did you ever get sick of lobster? Did you like eat way too much lobster and you're like, oh my god, no more lobster, please?
No, I purposely didn't because lobster was my favorite since I could remember. Like my parents would bring it home like for my birthday basically. But it's funny that he mentioned the legs because the other weekend, like I was saying, we were having lobster and I was the only one that was like sucking the meat out of the leg. That's the first thing I do. And I actually I've had the opportunity to teach some of my relatives in Rhode Island how to crack open the lobster and that sort of thing. So, but I think he's doing great. When we would do lobster bakes, we'd use salt water from the ocean, and we'd have the squid and that sort of thing. So, and just steam them, and we'd make mussels on the side, have some blueberry cornbread, put on the cob. So we would also do lobster bakes. People, hire crew to do that sort of thing, which is really cool.
Yeah,
out on an island too.
I learned this weekend about because I was steaming it, and it never occurred to me to just when you have if you have seawater, which I didn't have seawater, so I had to make salt water, but was to take the seaweed and just put the seaweed in the bottom of the pot, and then just throw the lobsters on top, and it becomes this natural steamer type thing or something like that. And I thought that was a cool trick because I was all worried about what's the elevation level, how much I'm going to have room in there. And I couldn't find the right double boiler steamer thing for it. And it's just like throw seaweed at the bottom. And if you don't have it, they said even if you just put 2 inches of water in there, it's probably close enough. Yes, some of it will be in the water, rotate them a little bit, but don't get all hung up about it. Because I personally like steamed better than straight up boiled. Yeah,
I steam. And a good trick too is if you're like a little, uncertain, if you just can snap the antenna off, like easily. Pluck that antenna right out, then it's good
butter out of the bottom part of the fridge.
All right. That's a good trick. That's a good trick. I didn't know that. So, is there anything else you want to tell us about the book? You want to read the book to us? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you have to read the whole book to us.
That's okay. No, it's just like great for any age. I think it just makes a great memory for people that visit Maine, and then just anyone that wants to learn about it. So, but my next one's about that I wrote is so my father loved half maple tree. So maybe in the future you like it, you can come back on with maple syrup recipes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that would be great. That would be really, really cool. Let's see. I'm going to go to my Carney cheat sheet to see what I'm supposed to be working on right now. They are really loud when they cook. Can you hear them as loud as everybody else can? It's like, oh yeah, we haven't figured out how to mute them, and it's so distracting on the show. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But it also gives you that like, hey, I'm in a real kitchen feel. So I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of torn. So we're going to do something what we call actually, you know what? I'm going to do the top 5 first. So the top 5 is something where we put together our top 5 between the 3 of us, which ocean. So I think Jonathan, suggested it, top 5 ocean movies. So they had to be ocean movies. Before I unveil ours, do you have any of the off the top of your head favorite ocean movie, Stephanie?
Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm. Okay. Let's see if it's on the list here. Let's see what everybody had. So. Basically, McGee had Jaws. He had The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, The Abyss, Leviathan, and Hunt for Red October. Carney had also The Life Aquatic, Aquaman. Oh my gosh, we have just really like the recent one, Jonathan, the recent Aquaman.
Gone.
Where is he? Is he gone? All right. The Perfect Storm, Sharknado's also on his list, and Crimson Tide. I went with Jaws, The Abyss, Hunt for Red October, Das Boot, and Pirate Radio, which technically is still on the water. So I think that was going to be reasonably acceptable. Jonathan, tell us about this pick you had there. Aquaman?
Aquaman's a great movie.
Like the most recent
one? Film. Parts of it were... Yeah, the most recent Aquaman. The most recent Aquaman. My dad's a lobster fiend. He was just over here trying to steal lobster before it was finished. Aquaman, the most recent Aquaman is the one that's my favorite.
Really? Basically the one that was basically like Wet Thor.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. It was filmed up here in Maine. A beautiful movie. It was great. It was
a bold strategy,
stunning in regards to the cinematography and CGI. It was just amazing. Really good movie.
Okay.
That's the one that gets picked apart. You're picking apart Aquaman rather than Sharknado. By the way, Stephanie mentioned earlier, where's the hammer? This is how I get into lobster. I'm hammering these stupid claws because, by the way, I got hard shells.
Yeah, that's. I had to do that this weekend. I mean, I was trying to do the elegant. I didn't try pliers, which actually would have been a smart move, but it did get. I finally had to take we had 2 people over. I finally had to take all their claws out to the garage and open them up for everybody because it was just crazy.
Yeah, I'm making a mess over here. But this is what lobster's about. It's about making an absolute mess.
Hey, Fred, I know I don't have to say this, but obviously points were deducted for Aquaman being on that list.
Oh, yeah, no, they're big points deducted for Aquaman. Sharknado I didn't even get into, but we'll just leave that one there. I'm going to talk about the last sponsor. I'm going to try and change things up a little bit because I don't even know how to handle this Aquaman stuff. We have a guest on the show, and we've done that, but she comes up with Perfect Storm, and you throw back Sharknado and Aquaman, so I just don't know what else to do. Red meat lovers, established 2017. If you're not aware, get ready because as we get out of this whole lockdown, shutdown, virus, stay-at-home, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, they've got events. And matter of fact, I've seen a couple new people signing up for events. They're going to be coming down. Matter of fact, I saw a post today on, would we be doing an event outside? Would you be comfortable with that? Anyway, killer events that's all about red meat, all about amazing stuff. So you have a chance to catch that. Definitely see them at some point. Brian, where are you on cooking? What have you got going?
Well, as usual, I'm done.
Are you done? Did you already eat?
He's done.
So there, can you see?
Done 20 minutes early.
Fish and chips.
Wow. We really should have been paying attention to that.
I might have dug into this already, but the Cedar Plank Salmon.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And
Tell us. I mean, we kind of missed the whole cooking thing. With the guests, we kind of don't have a chance to see the whole cooking. So walk us through real quick the cooking of the salmon and the fish and chips.
All right. The salmon's done on Cedar Plank. I did it on my smoker at 350 degrees. And I know it sounds weird, but it was salt, pepper, a layer of sriracha, a layer of mayonnaise, and a layer of brown sugar. And it gives it a spicy, twangy sweetness that's unbelievable. Don't knock it till you try it. It's really, really good. And it keeps that salmon from drying out. I mean, it's just flaking off. It's delicious. And then the cod was done in a beer batter with pickle juice. And, of course, big plank fries to go with it. And, of course, I am not a fan of malt vinegar, which is what you're supposed to have this with. And I don't have any tartar sauce, so I'm going to put ketchup on my fish and chips.
Okay, we got you covered there. We'll just ignore that.
That's like saying Aquaman was a good movie, so there we go.
So since this is an hour-long show, I'm still cooking my meal, which is, I don't know, Brian still hasn't understood that this is an hour-long show. It's supposed to be cooking throughout the entire hour. So I've got my 2 lobsters. Fortunately, all of these lobsters were alive when I pulled them out here earlier. I was worried. Now I don't have to worry because I'm taking the elastic bands off that Stephanie showed us how to do earlier. You want to take those off when you're grilling because if not, they're going to smell disgusting and they'll burn and melt. But both of these lobsters literally just died. So I don't even have to worry about taking their claws off. I'm going to put them on the grill. I got them on the charcoal here. I'm going to shut the top. Those will cook for about maybe, it's going to be about 500-600 degrees in there. So those are going to probably cook for maybe 5 to 10 minutes max. So somewhere in between 5 to 10 minutes. And that's really be based on color. As you notice, lobsters are brown and then they churn color on us when they're ready to go. So you pretty much know when they're done based off of them being orange. I'm also going to mix up my lobster salad roll here, and we're going to toast some rolls. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of mayonnaise in here. As I said, this is going to be a lobster salad roll, so we're going to throw in some shallots. Those are all going in raw, but I got them all minced and diced up. A little bit of celery, and we'll put a little bit of the Old Bay in there, what the hell, and then we're going to mix that up. I've got my butter melting off to the side here. My butter's melting in the cast iron, which is what I'm going to fry up the lobster cakes in. I'm going to put just a little bit of lemon juice in this lobster salad, and then I'm going to set that off to the side. That's pretty much done. That's just going to go inside of lobster rolls. And I've got my steaks that are resting off to the side here. The lobsters are sitting there on the hot coals. I've got my sauce done. I'm like 99% done. I just got to do these lobster cakes. And then I got to toast some rolls up. So here we go. Lobster cakes.
So how do you avoid overcooking the lobsters on the grill? Because that's a super dry, dangerous environment. Do you do the antenna trick that Stephanie was talking about earlier, or how do you avoid overcooking them?
I keep a close eye on them. Trust me, I have overcooked plenty lobster on a grill. It's really challenging, especially with the charcoal. It's a super dry environment. The challenge that you run into with it is if you overcook it, the meat sticks to the actual shell itself, so you lose a lot of meat. So you just got to keep a close eye on it and not let it burn. You shouldn't have any burn marks on it. So I'm just going to flip these. And just remember, these are crustaceans, so they're relatively thin. So it doesn't take much heat to get them cooked, and it doesn't take much time to cook them. For example, in the boiling water, these are about 1.25 pounds, 1.5 pounds. The two I have on there are about 1.5 pounds. Those will take in boiling water maybe 8 minutes.
Yeah.
About the same time frame with the grill. You're just going to keep an eye on the temperature because there's no moisture being introduced. So the lobster cakes are going into the butter. Man, these things look good.
All
See,
right.
I should
Now we're all going to meet over at Connie's house.
Yeah, what do we do now? Brian's not on the show.
Well, no,
this is kind of strict.
Actually,
You know what I mean? Like, what do I do?
Wade asked Brian to re-hit the ingredients on the salmon.
All right, so the salmon is just, a piece of salmon. I did it skin on. Salt, pepper, sriracha, mayo, and brown sugar. Real easy, real simple. But that crust, when you cook it, especially on the smoker, that crust forms and it's just, again, flaky, juicy on the inside, a nice crust on the outside.
I just bought a piece of salmon today that looks exactly like what you had. It's about yay big, skin on the bottom, so I'm going to do that either tomorrow or the next day for sure.
Yeah, let me know what you think, Mick.
All right, so I'm gonna bring up the which would you, and Steph, you actually would you rather? You're actually gonna be involved in this one. So we're going to ask. You have to choose between one of the two. It's no pressure. There's no wrong answers except for if you make the wrong answer. But basically the questions, you have to choose between one of two things. So the first one should be relatively easy. I don't know that everybody's going to be in agreement, but the first one is lobster or crab. Stephanie, we're going to start with you on this one.
Lobster.
Jonathan?
Lobster!
What, are we talking king crab or?
It's your choice. It's your choice.
Oh, boy. Brian's hitting all the wrong numbers today.
Bro,
Maine
king crab.
lobster.
King crab.
All right. I'm sorry. I love lobster, but I will probably 2-to-1 take Dungeness crab over lobster. I
Get
know,
out of here.
I know. No, look. Okay, wait a minute. If I'm having lobster, it is only Maine lobster. I will say that. I've had it from Bahamas and Florida. And I mean, if I'm doing that, I am team Maine lobster, no question.
Or Australian lobster.
But you know what? We also have Florida. We also have stone crabs, and stone crabs are pretty darn good too. So, if I was giving myself points for this show, I would take them away by insulting you by choosing crab, and Brian and I are deeply sorry for that. The next one, shrimp or crawdads. Brian, we're going to start with you. Shrimp or crawdads?
Man. I'm going to go shrimp, but barely.
All right. Jonathan, shrimp or crawdads?
Shrimp, baby. All day.
Stephanie?
Shrimp.
Yeah, I'm going to go shrimp, and I'm with Brian. It's a barely, and it has to do, for me, I can only think of cooking a couple different ways to cook crawdads. Shrimp, I can do a whole lot of ways, but crawdads in their own. If you're just talking about, I'm just gonna have a plain shrimp, or I'm just gonna have boil, I'd have to pick crawdads if it was just that. But shrimp, the versatility alone. So okay, hey, that's, by the way, rarely do we all agree on just the three of us to agree with a guest. That's amazing. And it won't happen again. Here we go. Sea scallops or calamari. Jonathan, you're first up on this one.
Sea scallops.
All right, Stephanie.
And by the way, it's pronounced scallop.
No, it's not. No, it's
Oh,
not.
it's-
Yeah, no, it's not. Stephanie, sea scallops or calamari?
I say calamari. Am I pronouncing it wrong?
I don't know.
I always have pronounced it scallop. That's a big debate in Maine, too. Is it scallop or scallop? I pronounce it scallop.
Yep. Brian, sea scallops.
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 Yes.
I'm right down the middle. I mean, I could really do. I mean, when you get good calamari like that's cut, not just like the like, hey, I'm at Outback and they deep fried calamari, but when you have it done really well, like a ceviche style. But I'm gonna have to go calamari. I gotta go calamari. I really do. And I love sea scallops too. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Salmon versus sea bass. Let's see, Stephanie, you're up first. Salmon versus sea bass.
Salmon.
Salmon. Okay. Well, Brian, I mean, I'd be really surprised on where you go with this one, but hey, what do you got?
Salmon, because I could do that 3 ways like Carney.
Oh, there we go. Carney, salmon or sea bass?
Wow, this is actually a tough one for me. I'm gonna go sea bass.
You're gonna go sea bass. See, he has to be the rebel sometimes, just to be the rebel.
Right.
So now I'm gonna drill down on the salmon because, quite frankly, all sea bass are the same to me. Stephanie, any particular type of salmon what's your favorite salmon?
Oh, the way it's cooked, or just?
No. Just which variety of salmon, or do you even have one?
No, I don't really have a favorite. I like anything.
Okay.
I like all salmon, and
That's fair.
raw or not. Smoked salmon's
All-
really good.
It doesn't matter as long as it's fresh.
Really? I'm living in the Pacific Northwest for so long. I am spoiled and picky that Pacific versus Atlantic, huge difference to me. If you can get your hand on and it's expensive, when Copper River is in season salmon-wise, it is the best salmon I think you can get. And the reason being is it's the longest river for any salmon to go up, so they have the highest oil content, and that it is absolutely amazing salmon. So look for it if you can. It's called Copper River salmon. All right, last question. Trout versus tuna. I'm hoping for unanimous on this. Jonathan, let's have you go first because you'll just throw a wrench in it if I don't.
Tuna.
Tuna. All right. Brian.
What area
Trout.
asked?
I love trout, man. Trout's delicious.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You're breaking up here. It sounded like you said trout. I also like how, by the way, I'm actually pointing at people on the screen as if anybody watching has any reference to how you're laid out on my screen. Brian, what do you think, Brian? Okay, Stephanie.
Did you just try to hit me?
Stephanie, please, trout or tuna, bring it back to the realistic. Thank you, and I will also take tuna. I don't know. I mean, hey, trout's great. When you got that Winnebago and you've gone to Camp Weewa with your parents or something like that, and you're 7. You got to finally have that fishing trip with your dad. But I mean, we're adults now. We have ahi, tuna, tuna steak, something like that. Paul Costco said smoked trout. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to slum with some of the locals, and definitely do that. But beyond that, we are done with Would You Rather, which was a pretty good episode as far as those go. So we're gonna check back in with Carney and see what he's doing because he's probably got some fancy snacks all late. Oh, look, see, now we're on the grill cam. We can see all. Are you doing potatoes too?
Well, so that's not actually on the recipe today, but I am serving several people dinner tonight. This dinner and this meal I'm cooking this evening is going to be serving 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be serving about 9 people. I'm going to be delivering dinner to the Mulligan family, and then my father is going to be participating, as he's already tried to, in this meal as well. And then my mother is going to be eating today. So everybody, when I do lobster, participates in here. So I'm cooking potatoes as a side dish as well, but that doesn't have to be part of the show. I'm just doing potatoes in butter with garlic. It's fingerling red bliss potatoes, with garlic and chives. And then my lobster rolls are done. I'm topping that with some chives for color, a little bit of pepper, and then I'm going to sauce up.
Right, can I ask why
sauce I made here. I'm going to sauce up
first?
the lobster cakes, and then we're going to put a little chive garnish on it. And you can't forget. Oh, man, there's too much stuff around here. Uh-oh. You can't forget fresh lemon to squeeze on it, so there'll be lemons served with everything today. I prefer them in quarters, so I'll be cutting them in quarters. So my first 2 dishes are done. We've got the lobster cakes finished. We've got the lobster rolls finished. Put a little bit of lemon on the top of that. Get some lemon on the side here. I'm actually all done with everything here. I'm just cutting up some lemons right now, and then I'm going to show everyone what we got together.
Fred, next week I'll wait till he's done with the ingredient list. Then I'll start cooking. That way I won't finish first.
That's probably fair. That's probably fair. I like how it's like all of a sudden he brings out the lobster and 9 people come to dinner when he's like cooking what was it, grilled fiddlesticks or something like that? Nobody around. Nobody around.
Nobody around. Nope. Everybody comes out. Everybody comes out when the good stuff's in the house.
Yeah, we're doing blackened fiddleheads. We're doing blackened fiddleheads, and
There we go.
Got some mussels with that lobster.
See?
I can do it again. Oh.
All right. So we got. This is the display. The grill cam is about to go away. But if you want to go straight to the grill cam here, because I got to use it for the gram, I got our lobster salad rolls here. We've got the lobster cakes on the side. Delicious. I put a little bit of sauce on it, more sauce on the side if people want that. But those came out real nice. And then we've got the lobster surf and turf. Dad, do not touch these. I have to take a picture. He is fiending over here hard.
Does he know you need to Instagram that first before he touches it?
Yes. And then we got the charcoal grilled lobsters here with the lemon in there. I've got some butter that I'm going to melt for the drawn butter. You dip the lobster in drawn butter. It's delicious. We've got the Wagyu ribeye filet here, and then I got a prime, 12-ounce prime ribeye. So we've got 2 different ribeyes. So yeah, there you go. Grilled lobster surf and turf, and then we've got the lobster rolls and lobster cakes, and we'll get some good pictures of that, and we'll start eating over here.
I might have taken my picture after I got about halfway through, so yeah. It's not gonna look.
Yeah, we're not good. Carney is very much like the 11-year-old girl when it comes to like remembering to take pictures. We've already like eaten our food, and that like So I actually for the longest time I went on this thing and it never took off. But I would take pictures of my food after. Brian, you might remember. So I'd take pictures of my meal after I ate it. There's nothing on it, and I created the hashtag why I suck at Instagram, and I thought it would take off, but it never really took off. But I don't know. You never know. So, all right, we're getting ready to wrap things up here. I don't know, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I apologize for all the technical difficulties that were probably Jonathan's fault, being up the road, sucking down all the internet between him and his grill cam and his parents and his wireless Bose stereo. And again, if I would have known he was picking Aquaman, I obviously would have policed that a little bit sooner. Not to mention not being on team Scallops or whatever it was. But anyway, so thank you so much. Anything you want to say before we bounce out of here? And award our winners.
Well, sorry for the loud part there. My husband came up behind me and was flexing his muscles. So I said, "You got any muscles with that lobster?" But I don't know if it.
I actually thought that was you. I thought that was you that explained why you were able to work on a lobster boat. I thought those were your arms. I mean, that made sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
Tell everybody where to get the book.
Now, there's shipping on the book, and it includes an activity book, which is pretty cool. So if you want to check that out on Amazon, that was great.
All right. Brian, any last thoughts before we get to the scoring ground?
Yeah, Sarah, could you tell your husband just one thing for me? Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Really?
We would have taken it. One of those teams.
You know what? Here's
That's like one of the few teams he hasn't played for.
I'll lose this week on purpose to say that.
Here's how I know I'm going to win this.
Cowboys fan, actually.
I know I'm going to win this round,
I got
Brian.
your keeper.
I know I'm going to win this round because I do know some homework, and being, for me, from Wisconsin, a diehard Green Bay Packer fan my whole life, I think he's going to side with me on this one. I'm just saying.
He was on the preseason. He rode that bike. He rode that bike there.
Which is a cool thing. Which is a very cool thing. Jonathan, any last thoughts before we sign off? Because I have nothing else on my program sheet.
So,
I think.
so if anyone would like to stick around for the next hour, I'll get in all the talking that I didn't get in this show. No, there'll be no after lounge this evening. I'm going to be taking some food up to the Mulligan household. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming on and enjoying the craziness that is our show.
Love it.
And then we're going to be, this week, we're also going to be releasing our, help us rename our show. The quarantine's coming to an end. We're going to be going to a bi-weekly schedule starting in July after our July 4th special. But we're going to be launching our help us rename the show contest this week. So keep peeled for that. We'll be doing a fun giveaway with all of our sponsors for Father's Day, which is 2 weeks away. And probably next week there'll be some challenges involved, and we'll get back to that. But all sorts of fun things. But no, thank you. I had a great time with this one. I'm glad we had a guest that wasn't cooking today, because I actually bit off a little bit more than I thought I could chew over here. There was a lot to do, but I did wrap everything up. And again, I look forward to watching the show again so I can see what Brian cooked. Unfortunately, I won't have to watch very long because he was done about 20 minutes in.
Right.
That's right. So, Stephanie, every week we pick a winner between the two guys. Do you have a preference of who wins this week's round of cooking?
Is that really a question?
It is a question. I have points, so I have to write down points. I actually keep points on who wins. You don't have to. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick the winner. So this week's winner, by the way, by a landslide, and I don't want anybody to think that 16 pounds of lobster showing up by a house 2 days ago, coming from John.
So the bundle of scars did nothing.
Had anything to do with it. I'm just saying it's a weird coincidence that this week's winner is John Carney. So thank you so much. Thank you, John. Congratulations.
I want my cigars back.
You won that.
You gotta work
smarter.
You gotta work smarter, not harder.
That's a wicked missile right there.
I gotta give him one once in a while. So anyway, thank you everybody. We really appreciate it. Join us next week for week 12. The theme will be something that we all figured out probably sometime in the next 4 days, because we have no idea what we're doing, if that's not apparent. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Visit the Quarantine Grilling on Facebook if you want to rewatch this or if you missed any part of it, especially the part in the very beginning where there wasn't any sound, kind of like that part. That was actually my favorite. And we'll go from there. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night.